Welcome to Duluth Conservative, episode 67, Dave.
That's a pretty high number.
I'm still getting unnerved by that opening credit, though. That does not look like either one of us. So we got to change that. I'll have to talk to my media genius that does all this stuff for me and have her change it a little bit.
Well, that was for me. It was a AI picture from a cartoon, so I can see why mine's spooky.
You know, it's going to be fun is if we can animate it too and make you start moving or smile or move. That would be really unsettling.
Yeah. Make it dance or something. That would be embarrassing.
Oh, God. We could do all that. All right. People that are joining for the first time, we're going to talk about the Duluth Conservative channel here. We're going to talk about news stories you may or may not have heard. And we're going to talk about some Duluth stuff, some Minnesota stuff, national and international. We're going to start out with top stories. So that can just be whatever strikes our fancy or we think is the most important to talk about. And that's what we're going to talk about today. But that's what our show is. Today, we're not going to have to be rushing. Last time we had a 50-minute time window and had to run out of here so I could sit around for an hour and a half before we actually did what I was supposed to do. So today we'll try not to go too long, but we're not going to be rushing through the stories, which is kind of nice. I'm ready to go, Dave. Are you ready to go?
I think we're all set.
All right. Let's go into the top stories then. And the top story I wanted to bring up was this young man in England that was stabbed. And it was by an immigrant in their country. He was a white guy. He was stabbed. The police showed up. The people said he was racist to them. So the police grabbed him, put him in handcuffs, dragged him across some gravel. The kid is saying, I was stabbed. I think he said it 10 times.
Yep.
And they put him in handcuffs. And when he said, I've been stabbed, he said, I don't think you have, mate. And then they noticed that, he wasn't really moving. So let me just read the article here as I have it. You can't carry a knife legally. You can't even carry a bread knife legally in the UK. But the Sikhs, a Muslim sect, is able to have a special religious use knife. And they can carry it. It's even over 50 centimeters long. So this boy, Henry Nowak, and I'll call him a boy because he was 18 years old, was walking home. And I don't know what caused it, but he was fatally stabbed by Vikram Digwa with his ceremonial knife. And then the police came and he said to the police when they showed up that he had been racially abused, and the responding police officers immediately believe him, shackle Nowak, who is dying. And Nowak informs the officer that he's been stabbed, and the officer says, you've been stabbed? Whereabouts? I don't think you have, mate. So the officers didn't check his condition. They cuffed him roughly, and they read him his rights, and he died. And when Digwa's mother, Karen Kaur, arrives at the scene, she takes the knife with her, attempting to conceal it. His brother, I'm sorry, I lost my place there. Brother, Gurdeep Digwa, made the 999 call and attempted to conceal a defense for his brother, claiming he had been the victim of a racial attack. Despite the life sentence, the court, that's something else. Digwa's brother, and so he got a life sentence. He will be eligible for parole at age 43. And there have been no consequences for the two police officers that shackled him and let him drown in his own blood. It's a little, obviously this article is not being unbiased, but while his killers watched him die. And the officers haven't been named, but I think I have a picture of them. So I think they have been named, and let me put it up here. Not that it matters that much what they look like, but I'll show you these two officers. And here they are now. So two young people. And I know that they said that their training in racial profiling was what caused them to do what they did. So they should be facing consequences. So we have Derek Chauvin here, and he's been convicted of murder. And these guys have not even been taken into custody for what they did. Dereliction of duty at the very least. When somebody says they've been stabbed, you better be checking them to see if they've been stabbed. So I saw a report by a doctor that said there was probably a 50-50 chance this kid could have lived if they would have taken action right away when they showed up. But they didn't. What they did was he said it was long enough so the guy could have been clotting at this time. They handcuffed him roughly, dragged him across some gravel, opened up his wounds, didn't get medical attention, and he bled out right in front of them. And that picture you showed when you showed the article is his hand not moving. They looked and his eyes were fixed and not moving. It's just a terrible story. But this is the UK, and they've got some serious problems with their policing and how they go about things. It doesn't feel like it's you're treated fairly. And when you have a situation where you can't carry a butter knife, but for some reason, because of religious purposes, these guys can carry a knife, well, you're just stacking the odds against people. So it's a terrible story all around. It's horrible for the family, and the fact that they were trying to hide it is just makes it even worse. So I hope something comes of this where there's a little more justice in this, because this kid, I don't know what he did, but even if he did racial, hateful things, that isn't justification to stab somebody to death. It just is not. Dave, I'll open it up to you.
I guess I can't remember the definition of suicidal empathy, but is this part of that? I mean, is there the training for the officers been so you have to believe this group and not white males, that to put, so no matter what goes on, you have to believe a minority, and a white male is the liar and the bad person all the time. I mean, isn't that part of that definition, which caused, basically this guy to die?
It seems like the logical conclusion to DEI training, which they said was part of the reason they acted the way they did. And you know what? And I don't care what race either side is. When somebody says they've been stabbed, you should check them out. And when they're a young kid, and they said they've been stabbed, maybe the cuffs aren't the first thing to be doing. And maybe the cuffs aren't the first thing to be doing if it's somebody claiming he was racially mean to somebody. That just isn't the right thing to do. They put people in jail, and we're gonna have a definition of this later on. The way they incur justice, especially in the UK, is so lopsided, where they encourage one type apparently, and they're very harsh on another type. And that has to stop. Thank God it doesn't happen in the United States yet. We're not like this here. I can say that with confidence, that things may be bad here, but it's not like that.
And Canada is going down that road, and for one reason, they got rid of the Second Amendment.
Yeah, well, they disarmed their citizens, and now they're disarming them with butter knives. I don't know where they're going next.
Right, and that's what the Democrats are trying to go to. If you look at even in Minnesota and across the United States, is they want to get rid of guns. Why? So they can control your speech. That's
the first step. That is the critical first step. After that, they do whatever they want. And it's been proven with Mao, Stalin, Hitler, Castro. The first thing they do is confiscate your guns, and then they go after you. So that's one of the reasons I will adamantly oppose any kind of regulations they have for that.
Yeah, don't go down that slippery slope. Don't even give them, don't give them the first step, because they'll just keep going until you have no rights whatsoever. And that's what they want.
Yeah, they have an end result. It's how they get there. They'll piece it, or they'll get it big chunks at a time, but they will keep eroding it. Once they get a little, that's their new level set. And then they're just going.
Yeah.
One of those things that clicks when you go past the thing, click, can't get back, but it can go forward. It's that kind of thing.
Right. Yeah.
I'm going to do another story here that probably not a whole lot of people know about, or know who Tina Peters is. But Tina Peters has been in jail because she had the audacity to point out voter fraud. and she was put into jail, and she's an older lady, but she was still jailed for a number of years, and it took this long to finally get her out anyway. So she was released on June 1st, 2026. And let's see, conviction and release details. Peters was convicted in August 2024 on 7 counts, including 4 felonies, such as influencing a public servant and official misconduct for allowing conspiracy theory, Conan Hayes, to copy data from voting systems in 2021. Although President Donald Trump claims to have pardoned her in 2025, that action had no legal effect on her state charges, which he's a federal, she's state, so you can't do that. Her release resulted from Polly's clemency decision on May 15th, 2026, which followed political pressure and threats to withhold federal funding. So as far as I understand, she was doing something to try to expose election fraud, and this was the result. This is what happens to whistleblowers. So she's finally free, thank God. I mean, even if it was what she said it was, I don't see why she should be in jail for more than a year. You know, they had her in for a very long time. It's only because this political pressure she got out at all.
Yeah, that's basic First Amendment rights that the Democrats seem to. That's the long-term goal for the Democrats. Is you agree with us, or eventually we're gonna throw you in jail.
Well, what is that Nick Shirley law in California, right?
Yeah, I forgot to put that on the list because they passed the Nick Shirley law, which was basically quit exposing fraud.
Right. Yeah. How dare you expose fraud, and we will put you in jail for doing it. It's a pretty interesting concept. And if that had been in place in Minnesota, the Somalian Leering Center would not have been exposed. He would have been put in jail for that.
Right. Yeah, we go down tons of rabbit holes with that whole process, but yeah, that's what it boils down to. Is, I mean, obviously, I would assume someone's going to sue for First Amendment rights stuff, but right now it did pass the California House, so the governor signed it, so it is law. So
it won't stand the first legal challenge. I mean, no. It's a violation of the First Amendment rights in very, very strict and easy language. Unfortunately, they keep doing these laws. Like they've tried to ban guns in several ways. And if they fail, if it goes to the Supreme Court and it fails, they'll just do another one just like it. There's no repercussions for keeping to do this stuff, so they just keep doing it.
Yeah, that's the New York policy.
I'm going to do the last thing here. I would suggest not bringing this up on the browser because it will pop ads up all over the place. But there's a thing called quantum computing. And if you don't know what quantum computers are, think of a specialized computer that is very good at doing repetitive tasks. So do you know the old days when they started doing this cryptography, when you first things came out, you could try somebody's password, like having a 4-digit code on a keypad. All you have to do is keep pushing in every number and every combination. And sooner or later, you're going to get to unlocking the thing, right? The same theory goes with encryption. Is you could take somebody's encrypted key or encrypted data, and you could try to decrypt it, and you have to go through all the iterations of a 256 key or 512 key. Sooner or later, you're going to get it. But the problem is that it used to take, realistically, it would take 100 years to do all that. So it wasn't worth it. And it was a lot of computing power. Well, quantum computers are very, very good at doing that. And they call it Q-Day, is when the quantum computers are around and any encryption we have on anything is useless. If you've encrypted a file, bam, they can decrypt it just like that. So is it doom and gloom? No, not necessarily, because what you do, you use quantum computers for encryption too. So now you're going back to using one for one, but unfortunately, people don't have quantum computers. So it's going to be a complete mind shift in banks and government. All of them will have to have the quantum computers, and it's coming. sooner rather than later, and sooner than we thought it was going to. So I'll post this article here, and I apologize. I will catch up on these live feeds. I have not been posting these articles as I could, but time is running out on this. A lot of companies approach cybersecurity the way people approach oil changes. They know they're supposed to deal with it, and they will, but they postpone it. Well, this is going to be too late. When all your encrypted stuff is out on the web, it's going to be a bad day. So I just wanted to make sure people are understanding what it is. Kind of get yourself educated on what quantum computing is, because it'll be in the news coming up fairly soon, and it's going to be a very big deal. It's let's see. Archived communications quietly unlocked years later. Competitive advantages disappearing without obvious explanation. State actors obtaining access to sensitive information nobody ever managed could be exposed. That's the nightmare scenario, not chaos, not collapse, simply the slow realization that the digital locks humanity built around its most sensitive information no longer work the way everybody assumed it did. And it did work the way they assumed it did, but it no longer does when the quantum computer's out. And the theory is quantum computers have been functional for a number of years, kept hidden by the government or any government, Chinese government, US government, I don't care who, but somebody has developed one and has been using it. So quantum computing, you'll hear about it at some point, and Q-Day is the day that it all breaks loose.
Well, yeah. So, I mean, everyone does their banking and their credit card stuff online. That's all those encryptions are gone basically instantaneously. So your information is public. Therefore, it's something everybody should really care about. So, at some point you won't be able to do your banking online, or those little computers you have in your pocket called a cell phone are going to be a big problem to you.
Right. And that encryption is no good. The passwords you have are useless. I mean, the only, there are some things that are keeping us safe, though. Not talking about encryption, because encryption is kind of hosed, but passwords, let's say. Typically, you're going to have people, you have to put a certain number. You can only do passwords a certain number of times. There's two-factor authentication. So you put your password in. It's not good enough. You have to send a text. But that being said, the encrypted communication is very unencryptable now. So when you put your password through, it may come out clear text at this point.
Right.
All right. That's all I got for top stories, Dave. Anything else you want to talk about?
No, that pretty much covers that side of it. So,
okay, then we can move on to Duluth stuff, and I will post this. Something Dave came up with. The bonding bill sends millions in infrastructure funding to Duluth Northland. So every 2 years there's a bonding bill, and this was the year for it. And Duluth was able to make out pretty well. I know that the legislators around the whole area had something to do with getting this in place. There's a couple things on here I think are great, and some of these I question, and then some, well, let's see. $8.9 million for a new Union Gospel mission building. I don't understand why the public is spending money on that. I don't.
No.
It's a private organization. It's doing great things, but keep the government out of it.
Right.
$4.9 million for the Duluth Entertainment and Convention Center to fix defective steam pipe fittings and replace aging elevators and escalators. So is this a city-owned building?
Yeah. I mean,
apparently it is.
But don't they budget for that? I mean, every private business has to budget for maintenance, don't they?
You would think. I can understand if it's something that's way above their means, but you have a building, you know how it's heated, you know it's got elevators, and escalators. At some point, I don't, you don't want to lose the convention center. It's a very big attraction. It brings a lot of people in, but at the same time, you make money on this. I don't eat for free there. I was just there this last weekend and I was paying $6 for a hot dog. So I know they need to make their money on that, but still, I don't begrudge them getting it. At the same time, Why are we spending the money, public money for it?
Right.
4.3 million to repair the Lakewood water treatment plant. Seems to make sense. That's a city owned or a government owned things, right?
Yeah.
3.5 million to design a new hangar for the 148th Fighter Wing. That's another, the military is government, and if they need it, I would assume they're not just making silly claims that they need it. I don't know, but I have no problem with it on the face of it.
But
3.5.
isn't that federal, or is that the National Guard? Because if it's the state National Guard, then it makes sense. But if it's
the national
federal
it's
aviation,
national.
then it's okay. If it's
Yeah.
federal, then feds should be paying for it. So
Yeah, feds
which
wouldn't
is
be
us
asking for money
anyways.
from the state. The feds wouldn't ask for
Yeah.
money from the state for stuff like that.
Which is us.
3.5 million for repairs to elevators and other infrastructure at the University of Minnesota Duluth. We can't seem to give the University of Minnesota enough money, and some of the crap they come out with, I've seen, is just disgusting. That we are funding these guys to basically turn a population against us and to train people from other countries. You go look at the master's program in some of these, like the computer science department at UMD and the U of M. Good luck finding an American citizen in that. They recruit from out of the country. And I'm so tired of funding our replacements. It doesn't make any sense. So,
right.
Yeah, they need infrastructure stuff. It costs an arm and a leg to go to the University of Minnesota already. Maybe shrinking the UMD campus would be a good idea too. Or maybe the escalators can just be in the stop position for a while.
Right. Yeah, health.
Yeah, get them
health concerns. Yep.
$2 million for a new air traffic control tower at the Duluth International Airport. Yeah, they've been looking for this for a number of years, and it's good to have a good air traffic control tower. I don't want a guy with a flag up there.
So let me get this straight. It's $2 million to build a air traffic control tower at the airport, which it's needed because ours was the second oldest in the United States. But it takes $3.5 million, almost double that, to fix some elevators at UMD. That makes a lot of sense. I can see how that number works out, right?
Well, the music in those isn't free, They're going to pipe music in, it costs a lot of money. $960,000 for the Duluth North Shore Sanctuary District to keep stormwater and snowmelt from entering the sanitary sewer system along the shore of Lakes Pier between Duluth and Knife River. Okay. Probably is a good idea. Probably disrupt the system and kill our, make it cost a lot more than it's worth. So, some good stuff, some stuff I question, I scratch my head at. It's a lot of money.
Yeah.
24 million. And that's just what Duluth got. Obviously, our representatives should be advocating for this kind of stuff and see what they can get. At the same time, they've got to keep Minnesota taxpayers in mind as well. So,
right.
As I'm looking at the 8.9 million for the Union Gospel Mission building, I could be wrong on it because I don't know the specifics on it, but I don't see why the public should be funding that through taxpayer money. If you want to fund it through donations, hey, that's the way to do it. So.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's all our Duluth news. It seems like there's more stuff, but I can't think of what it is. Anything going on in Duluth? Oh, yeah, the Republican National Convention.
Yeah.
Did we talk about that?
No, we didn't talk about that. But on the way down, I noticed there was a big circus at the mall, at the Miller Hill Mall. So if you're in Duluth, if you're, it said something about the paranormal circus. So if you're in Duluth this weekend, go check out, if that's what you're interested in, go to check them out and see what's going on. I don't know who they were. That was the first time I seen it, but yeah, we never talked about the big state news is the two conventions were last Friday. So last Friday and Saturday.
Let's talk about the Republican one, because I actually went to that. I was a delegate this year. I've never been. I didn't even know what a delegate did. So this is my first time ever. And it was fascinating. just fascinating to be there. So it was at the Duluth Entertainment Convention Center. We were in the hockey arena, and as a delegate, you get your name tag, and you get a certain color ribbon, and you have to have a tag, and you have to take roll call, find out how many delegates are there. And then once you get the delegate count, you have alternates. So just like any kind of team, you have a full roster of 20 people, but only 18 of your delegates show up. Now, hopefully you have 2 or more alternates. And when the delegates aren't there and they do the first count, pull the delegates down or the alternates down, and you fill up the whole team. So that's what we did. That took probably 3 hours, 2.5, 3 hours to get that whole count. So then it runs under Robert's rules. So we went through that, and it was very well organized. I'll tell you what, the guy that was the chairman, the one that ran it, he did a fantastic job. I can't believe herding 2,000 cats. Everyone wants their opinion. Everyone wants to say something. He did a fantastic job. And the whole committee did, a parliamentarian. He knows what he's talking about. So we went through it, and we voted for the endorsed candidates for a number of offices. The first one we did was for Attorney General, I think, because it was uncontested. It was one guy. So he got it. That was easy. And so what they did was they handed out these electronic voting devices too. And there was a brouhaha about that. People are like, the irony was not lost on us. We're using electronic voting, but we're trying to get paper ballots in the state. But at the same time, this is an enclosed system. It's by a party. It's not, theoretically, if you can't trust the party, you can't trust anything. So I can see the difference, and I can make the logical distinction between that voting and public voting. And they did some tests, which were, they just showed us that the votes were being counted. It's impossible for us to tell. There's room for improvement on these, because there's absolutely no way to tell if you voted for A, that's what it counted. There's just no way to do it the way we did it. So there is a room for improvement on that. So then we voted through, and we got through Attorney General, Secretary of State, State Auditor, and then we got to State Senate or Federal Senate candidates. And that we had the big names on there was Adam Schwarzy, Michelle Tafoye, and Royce White. And I say they're the big. The other guys got dropped out, and it was just down to those 3. So as a delegate, I did not show my endorsement. I was going to vote for Adam Schwarzy no matter what, because I like him. I think he's the right guy for the job. But I didn't declare that because I wanted to see how the candidates would react. Because if they don't know how you're voting, they're going to advertise to you during this convention. And so a lot of people had whips out, and they had signs up, and people are walking around, and they're trying to get excited for their candidate. But I'm going on my phone, and I'm getting text after text, and it's from Michelle Tafoye's campaign, and they're all really, really negative. I mean, they were from her. She shouldn't have had our list of delegates in the first place, because she wasn't going to abide by the endorsement process. This show is going to go on for 2 hours. I'm so fun. I have such fun doing this, but so anyway, that was the interesting thing. After 6 votes, I believe Adam took the 60%, and it's 60% of the delegates that are there when you do your final count. So if 500 people leave, we can't endorse somebody. That didn't happen. So we endorsed Adam. Adam took it. Adam never went negative. I'll tell you that. When every campaign, every piece of literature, he's very positive, and he was getting it done because he's done the work. He's been working at this for like a year. So it was great to see him get endorsed. I was really rooting for him. Then we went on to day 2, and we did the governor candidates, and then we're like, okay, this is going to take a while, because had Mike Lindell, Kendall Qualls, Lisa Demuth, and a couple other ones like Patrick Knight and some other guys that kind of dropped off fast, but not bad candidates. We get to round 4, and it's just Mike, Lisa, and Kendall on it. And Kendall and Lisa are about dead even, and then Mike's a little lower. We do the voting, and they're showing us at the end of the votes, they show us how many people voted. And round 1 through 4, the one where Mike got knocked off, it was about 1,900 votes out of the 2,000 delegates. So pretty much everybody was voting. We get to round 5, and now it's just Kendall and Lisa. And they're still basically split. I think if I'm right, Kendall took a small lead in that one. Oh, I'm sorry. We did 5 and Kendall took a small lead, but now it's like down to 1,500 votes. I'm like, well, that seems really odd. So are Mike's people not voting for him, or did people leave? Because it was a long time between some of the votes. So we do vote 6. That was when things got interesting. So now it's like 11:30 when we do vote 6, and we're like, oh, we're out of here at like 3. We just got to get through these rounds, figure out what we're going to do. It goes up to, we can go as many rounds as you want, but after 10 rounds, somebody can make a motion to say, we're just not going to endorse because we can't make any movement. And it sure is looking like that based on what we saw. Long time, they come around and say, look, we're going to do round 6 again. We're like, what? Yeah, we're not going to show you the results. We just want to do round 6 again. So everybody vote. They put the names up again. We vote. And now we go on and on. It's supposed to take 5 minutes to vote, 10 minutes to count and tell the candidates what happened, because it doesn't take them very long to do electronic counts. It's right there. But we're going on for like hour and a half. Nothing. We're not getting any information. And they don't call a recess, so we can't walk out and get food. So they're sitting there just waiting to eat. And some people are trailing out and coming back, but you don't know if they might have voted when you're gone. So they come up and show us round 6, and they go, here's the problem. We saw 1,900 votes for the first 4 votes. And then we saw 1,500 for round 5, and we saw about 1,500 for round 6. That caused us concern. So we rebooted the system, had you redo round 6, and now we're back up to 1,900 votes. Well, everybody, that was not good. People had been talking about the electronic voting the day before, and now, not only is it questionable what's going on now, it's questionable what happened the day before. When they showed us the results of round 6, though, when it was the first time we did it, they were about dead even. But the second time we did it, Kendall came out way ahead. He was at like the 52% range, and you have to get 60% to get the endorsement. So then we had a whole thing, we had to go, people brought up the point, we're going to break the rule, or not break the rules. We're going to suspend the rules and do paper ballots. We can do that. We had a conversation about that. In the end, the floor voted not to do that. And so then we went on with the voting, and each time Kendall was notching up. And then at round 10, he got over 60% of the vote. So he got endorsed. By that time, it was like 9:30 or 10 o'clock at night. And they tried to, okay, everybody, now we're going to vote on the constitutional stuff. Everybody was just out. They were gone. So I think that just got tabled. So overall, I thought it was fascinating. I mean, it was 2 full days. I was there Saturday at 8 o'clock or 8:30, and I was there till 10. That was Friday. And then Saturday is basically the same thing, but very interesting process to see. My take on it is, people are trying to come up with conspiracy theories, and they think that, the Republican Party is inept. I don't think that's the case. I think they bought a system. The system failed them. They did the best they could, and I don't think there was anything nefarious about it. I don't think they were trying to swing the vote. I don't think they were trying to fool people. They were very upfront about it. They told us what was happening. So, I don't have any ill will or feelings about the whole process. I would like it if they had a better system. If they do it electronically, there's got to be a way that you can vote and tie it back so you can see that your vote counted the way you thought it should. And if everybody can do that, then you can have a very good reliability that the votes are counted correctly, which I believe they were. But, there's a lot of people that just didn't understand it too. I mean, so they say, you hit the 1, and then when it gets received, it comes back on the device. It says 1 received. You don't have to hit send. You want to see it say 1 received. And if you hit the number a bunch of times, it's just going to take your last vote. So you can do it 7 times. It should take the 7th one should be the one that's in there. And if you hit the send button, no problem. We do it. do I have to hit send? What happens if I hit this button again? It's like the easiest question. So you got to be able to say, I voted for this and this is what I got. So anyway,
And
that was the Republican one. That's one I'm experienced with.
and then what did they do with the endorsements after the fact, a couple days after?
So that was that great question. So there was a statement that came out, and I would like to tell you the name, but I don't have my email up right now. It was the president, and he said, because of the irregularities, we're not holding the candidates to their pledge to abide by the endorsement process. So Kendall and Lisa both said they will abide by the endorsement process. Mike Lindell said he wasn't going to. He's going to go on to the primary no matter what.
Yeah.
So they said 2 days later that they weren't holding Lisa to that pledge, or any of the governor candidates, but Lisa's the big one because she had the most votes. And she would do a fantastic job, by the way. Nothing against these guys.
Right.
So she has now announced that she is going to go on to the primary. Now, here's an interesting piece. I don't know if you know about this, Dave, but I just got another email today that said, from the same guy, that said, the board and I have unanimously voted that I had no right to send out an email saying we were releasing them from their pledge and rescind that. So it doesn't mean much because it's not a legal thing.
No.
It doesn't matter.
Right.
But it is, it's just something where, and he said this in the original email too, the endorsed candidates get the full support of the RNC, meaning they get, voter lists and maybe monetary support and other support. That didn't change. But I think there was a lot of blowback from them just saying that. And he doesn't have the authority to speak for the RNC, but he did. And
right.
Since it was unanimous vote and he was one of the voters, he's recognized that as being a problem, which is good.
Right. Yeah. But it's still interesting.
Oh, it's really interesting. I mean, as a person who's never been involved with politics at this level before, I'm like fascinated by this. I was having the best time and we were just sitting there not doing that. I'm just watching people walk around with signs, and just conversations people are having.
And you got to eat a $6 hot dog.
Yeah, that was a $3 cup of coffee.
Yeah.
And, like this big,
Yeah.
And 2 bathrooms with a total of 5 stalls, one of which was broken or urinals, and then 3 stalls. So
very nice.
I don't know what the women's situation was, but I'm sure it was not good. So do you have any questions for me about the Republican thing?
No, it would have been interesting to see, because we've got the DFL's, constitution, what they wanted to present as platforms. I mean, did you talk about any of the platforms, or was it just the nomination process?
So the way we did it was that would all be changes to our constitution, which we did in our individual other places, like when we did the endorsement for state house for Pete Stauber.
Okay.
When he got endorsed, we did it at that convention, and we talked about the changes we want to see, and we all voted on them. That was something we were going to do on Saturday after the governor election, but
everyone wanted to go home.
That was DOA.
That'd have been interesting to see what the platform wanted to stand up for this year.
Oh, and I can't tell you the specifics because I don't remember them, but I agreed with them all. So it was basically rooting out fraud and getting that Office of Inspector General more teeth, and getting, trying to look out for people and get the costs of living down, try to get some unregulated or unfunded mandates out of the system, basically trying to help people survive so they don't have to work 3 jobs and move out of the state in order to live here. So right-sizing the government, there was a lot of good stuff, and that's what the platform's for. So I think it was less so about the border, because the border is being taken care of as it should be by the federal government.
Correct.
So it was not less of an emphasis on that. But now we can take a look at the Democrat stuff. So here it is. I'm sharing it right now. Here's the platform results from them. So in order of the number of votes, and like you pointed out, Dave, these are really vague. Minnesota Waters and the BWCA. I don't know what that means. My guess would be you can't do any mining up in northern Minnesota at all. Zero.
Right.
What I saw was they were bringing back the prove it first measure that Leash Kozlowski was championing 2 years ago, which basically and effectively eliminates all mining up north. Just does. You have to prove 10 years of mining experience with no in the United States and certain conditions, and then there's a bunch of other stuff. So there, I don't know for sure based on this, but I think it means they don't want mining at all.
And that would just wipe the Iron Range out. So we can just erase the L from the DFLs because they just killed, 2,000 union jobs, and they don't
Right.
care. I mean, that's their
No.
platform, kill jobs.
Yeah. Yeah, what we need is American workers and the union workers up there to get jobs at doing the mining. That's who we should do it.
Yeah.
I know it's a foreign
Yeah.
company that from a foreign country that's doing it, Chilean, I believe. But
Yeah.
it should be our workers, our unions doing that work for the mines. It's dangerous work. That's what they're for. The unions are for. Citizens United have no idea what that means, but they got a lot of votes.
Yeah.
The Equal Rights Amendment, that piece of garbage again. You don't need it. It doesn't do what you think it does.
Correct.
And I'll have to read up on it again because I read it before and I was talking to other legislators and women legislators who said it was ridiculous. I like the next one though. Tax the rich. What's that mean?
Right.
I wonder if they think that the rich people don't pay taxes in this state. What do you think, Dave?
Well, they definitely the rich seem to never pay taxes according to them, and the biggest thing is the rich don't hire anybody; they just hoard the
Right.
money for themselves. So you tax the rich out of the state, and you lose all the jobs that go with them. And you can
Right.
ask Seattle, you can ask New York. They've taxed the rich right out of the state, and now they're begging for them to come back. And so this is what number 4 on their priority list. It's like you guys know nothing about business, and that's why the state is failing the way it is.
Right. And there is a valid question to be asked, and this is it. When you are a citizen of a country, how much are you required to pay? So when you are earning a lot of money, say you earn $1 million a year, you're paying a huge chunk. In the progressive tax, it keeps getting higher and higher. The more you make, you're paying a higher and higher percentage, and which they wanted to increase that percentage quite a bit. But if you're
Yeah.
paying the equivalent of, say, $100,000 in taxes, I don't know what it is. Let's just say that's what it is. And other people are citizens. They get the same benefits. They have the same rights. They have the same protections, are paying nothing or very little or $100 or $200. How do you rectify that disparity between this person paying this much every year and the equivalent of 50 other people, what they pay together, and you still want more? And you don't seem to want to stop until you've actually ruined that person so that they don't earn everybody. This is the equity thing, right? Push everybody down. Equity isn't about building up. It's about pushing people down. And that's, what you're trying to get at.
Right.
Minnesota's top state income tax rate is 9.85%. 9.85%. That's just in the income tax. That's 10%. That's a month. It's a month out of your life you get to work for the state just for the income tax. Isn't that crazy?
Right.
All right.
Yeah, and then have them wasted on elevators.
Yeah, right. Oh, items that failed. Just missed it. Plant-based school meal option. Funny enough, so I'm running for 8B. I got an email today from this coalition that wants to know who they're going to support. And it's about, we want to pass a law that's based on the Illinois law that requires schools provide a meatless option for kids if they request it. And my response to that is, no. I will fight for your right to be able to eat a meatless meal at a school. That's your right. If you don't want to eat meat, you should be able to do that. But mandating that schools provide that to you, this is why we have such overemphasized and overabundance and government on steroids in this state, is because everything has to be regulated. We're not only going to make, give it an option, but we're going to make you do it. You will pay for it. I didn't see anything about them funding these school programs. So you have an organization here. How about this? Raise your money, contact the school systems, contract with them, and provide the meals for free.
Yeah.
Then they would have the option of having the meatless meal without the taxpayers having to pay for your whatever you want. Because this just opens Pandora's box too. And they're trying to take every angle they can to have, it's a religious reason, it's personal health, it's for the economy, it's for sustainability, every reason they're just trying to shoehorn in. But you provide it. You do the work. You get the money and you get the people that agree with you and provide the meals. And I will make sure that you are allowed to do that if it's safe. That, as a legislator, that would be my job. The job of a legislator is not to require schools to do something and make them pay a lot of money for it, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah, and I remember the last time I had a cheeseburger at high school, and it definitely was a meatless option.
Yes, it was. I don't know
There was
what kind
no
of
meat in that
substance that
cheeseburger.
was.
Yeah, there was no cheese. There was no meat on that cheeseburger. So
Literally, the last time I ate a cheeseburger in high school, I got sick after I ate it.
Yeah.
I remember that because you and I used to go out to McDonald's every day, and that was when they were doing their fantastic 29-cent
29 cents.
Burger King. So my lunch money for a day was 75 cents, and I could buy 2 or 3 burgers depending on the day.
Yeah.
And that's what we'd eat for lunch every day. It was fantastic.
Every day.
But then when you go to hockey stuff and I didn't have a ride anymore, yeah, I was eating school lunch and just hating it.
Yeah. So there's definitely already a meatless option there. So
yeah. We won't go over the other stuff.
No,
independent oversight of immigration enforcement. This didn't pass. So, and it's so vague, it's hard to know what it is. Federal term limits.
Right.
Well, I'm surprised that didn't pass with them, but I'm glad they actually brought it up.
Yeah, I'm amazed they even brought it up. So,
yeah, that's shocking to me, actually. And the last thing I'm going to talk about on the DFL convention is Amy Klobuchar, the anointed governor candidate. No, they did vote for her. They did the process. So I'm not, it's not a Kamala Harris thing, but she was basically anointed by Tim Walz. She threatened to leave the convention because there was a challenge. So while backstage at the Democratic DFL convention, Amy Klobuchar loudly declared her frustration and said she was going to abandon the convention after delegates nominated a 26-year-old progressive activist, I think it's a trans guy too, as an alternative to Klobuchar for Minnesota governor. What did you say, Dave?
I didn't look that person up, so I couldn't enumerate or expand on that. So I thought that, but it sounds about right with the DFLs. Yeah.
The 2 DFL activists were granted anonymity because they weren't authorized to speak publicly about what they witnessed backstage for fear of reprisals from the Klobuchar camp. Now, keep this in mind. I just went through the entire brouhaha that we did at the Republican State Convention. Nowhere did we ever be told, you can't talk about this. You can't there's no reprisals. I didn't have any of that. But that's the DFL. DFL is all about, mind your place. Know where you are, caste system. Kobe Lane, a former Minnesota legislative assistant, who said that Klobuchar's candidacy was the coronation of yet another corporate Democrat. Yeah, stick it to the man. I agree.
Yeah.
The article cited
Oh,
former
yeah.
aides and describing the office environment. It was not just demanding, but often dehumanizing. Well, this is all hearsay. I don't know if this is true or not. So Lane said she was not going to abide by the endorsement and will run against Klobuchar in the August primary. So Klobuchar does have a primary opponent. I don't know. We'll see what happens. There's a lot of people disgruntled about Amy and the DFL. So we'll see.
Yeah, and I looked up a picture of this Kobe Lane, and I think you're right. It's a transgender.
Yeah, pretty sure.
So yeah, I don't know how to get his picture up, but still, it's not worth looking at.
No,
it's gonna be that person's gonna be inconsequential for the primary anyways. So
maybe. I mean, like I said, there is a lot of disgruntled people out there, so we'll see. I mean, this could be a person that really, really resonates in the Twin Cities, and the Twin Cities basically runs this state when it comes to elections, unfortunately.
yeah, and with the fraud going on through Walz, they just see it just as a extension of Walz and continued fraud. So maybe this person will do some damage to her campaign. So it'd be nice to see.
Well, it looks like it's not going to be a pretty campaign because I think it may get ugly real quick. And
right.
so, and on the Republican side too, it's not going to be an easy primary. You've got Kendall Qualls, the endorsed candidate, who's a fantastic guy. This guy is awesome.
Yeah.
You got Lisa Damos, who's fantastic too. Listening to her speak she was really on point and did a really good job. And Mike Lindell, Mike, he's got fantastic points too. He doesn't have the experience, but he's a very passionate guy, and he has the juice. So it's going to be a tough, unless I think Lisa has until Friday to withdraw from this. So I think she can do it still and not be on the ballots and stuff. So we'll see what she does now that the endorsement has been, or the abdication of endorsement has been taken away from the RNC again. But man, I tell you, Kendall is great. Here's the thing about being at a convention too, just to belabor this point. You're supporting somebody, so I'm, holding a Mike Lindell poster and then he gets knocked out. It's not because I don't like Kendall or Lisa. It's because that's who I think is the best candidate to do it. But I really like those two too. And if you're holding a Lisa one, when Kendall's up talking, you don't shout negative stuff at Kendall or try to smear him, and you don't send texts about them. I'm giving hypotheticals here, but basically what it comes down to is I was okay with any of the three getting the endorsement. Really, I think they're really good candidates. It's unfortunate we have three going into the primary. It would be great to have one so they could build up their momentum. But this is just how, you can't grow trees inside because they don't get strong enough. You need the wind. So these candidates are going to go on this. I hope it doesn't go negative. They are so much positive about all three of them that I don't think it needs to. And then people can make up their mind. We were in endorsement process, 2,000 of us. We were elected by our BPOUs and everything. So we're representing theoretically the whole Republican Party, but Republicans have their chance to make their say in the primary too. And then everybody gets to say in November. So that's the way it's supposed to work.
Yep.
Anyway, we should breeze through some of these other things because I don't want to be here for 2 hours and we're already cracking up onto the hour mark.
Yeah.
Tim Walz appointed a leaders to council tasked with documenting Operation Metro Surge. So another state employee doing his best to get in the way of federal employees where he could be doing a job for the state. But that's Tim Walz. He doesn't know what his job is. I think is one of the most incompetent governors we've ever had. So he's just continuing on. Between him and Ellison, Mary Moriarty, what a trifecta of incompetence we've had running the state.
Yeah, and I looked at the 13 people he nominated, and there's only 12 of them are massive left-wing liberals, and one is maybe maybe a moderate, just from the job description. But he also put on there the judge from the Derek Chauvin trial.
Yeah.
And we've already proven that he was a major left-wing zealot, just like Walz is, because I mean that trial there were so many mistakes in there, and he just kind of let it go, and he made it sure that Derek Chauvin got convicted, by
They had to.
eliminating facts that were coming into it. So this Truth Commission is just a complete waste of time, and it's more obstruction from the state government.
Right. Let's go on. JFK Profile Encourage Award presented to Twin Cities residents for ICE surge responses. So the JFK Profile Encourage is going out to people who got in the way of the federal government doing their job. And I don't know where I put this news. I must have put it way down. We're going to have a small article here that talks about how I put it on the national news. When Obama was in office, CNN went on a ride along with ICE, a day with ICE in a so-called sanctuary city. And I'll just pop down to this now and talk about it. CNN literally rode around with ICE from the break of dawn until nighttime, watching while ICE conducted raids and arrested illegal aliens. ICE arrested some right at their jobs. CNN was not criticizing ICE. They were celebrating ICE. It was exclusive access during the Obama years, and CNN considered it a privilege to get to watch ICE work. ICE even made a mistake arrest during this time, and CNN had no problem with it. 6 months later, Trump wins, and ICE is labeled as the Gestapo. So see how that works? See how it changes so fast? It can go from good to bad, just like that. And I'll post a link to that. We don't have to put it up here.
But that's why we ran the next story where it is.
Dozens of anti-ICE protesters won't face state charges for storming Minnesota church service. If you read the article, it is it's getting inside the mind of a mad woman, the woman that's not charging it. So she's saying, and I don't know if I have all the information on it, but basically what he was saying is, well, they didn't make anybody feel threatened, and they didn't destroy anything. So no harm, no foul done. But the federal government is going after them. So
So once again, we have to get the federals in to do Minnesota laws.
Right. See how they don't apply the law to certain groups that they agree with, but then they will crack down on anybody doing something they don't agree with. It's a very two-tier justice system. We've talked about it being like a 7-tier justice system, but we never put the chart together.
Right. But they said the St. Paul attorney said that there wasn't enough evidence to support it. However, if you look at what the law says under the FACE Act, the Department of Justice has the authority to prosecute individuals who intentionally injure, intimidate, or interfere with any person lawfully exercising their religious freedom at any place of worship.
Right.
Now, that's interference. It was on video. How much law breaking do you need? That was blatant interference and intimidation.
Yeah, it was meant to intimidate.
Yeah. How was that not? How did that not meet the threshold for Minnesota?
Because they didn't want it to. That's all.
Right. That's it. Yeah.
I'm going to pop to the next story too, and just kind of along the same line. Minnesota immigrant gets 10 years for murdering a man over a dispute. I'm not supposed to say the word murder because I don't know what happened to our channel, but it basically took it offline for a long time because of some of the words we say. But I'm too stubborn not to do it. But yeah, 10 years. Yeah. He went, and I can't even believe they went on this. The guy said nobody's going home today. He went out, got his weapon, came back, and it's not premeditated. I mean, come on. This guy is a threat and should be behind bars the rest of his life. He murdered somebody. That guy's not going home. like that Clint Eastwood movie, right? Unforgiven. A hell of a thing killing a man. You take everything he's got, everything he's going to have. This guy didn't get 10 more years of his life, but
Right.
seems to be okay.
But there's that case in Duluth a long time ago where the guy went home. They were at a party. They had a fight. One of the guys went home, grabbed his gun, came back to the party, and killed him. That
Yes.
was considered first-degree murder, and they put him away forever,
Yes.
as it should be.
Mhm.
You went home and you had plenty of time to calm yourself down, but you didn't.
Right.
Same here. He went home and got the gun. That's enough.
Right.
That's murder.
Well, let's go on to your favorite story, because I know you've been loving this one. Red Lake Nation returned a plane to a Roseau pilot, reaching a resolution after a 7-month standstill. So this guy had to make an emergency landing. He landed on Red Lake Nation's airspace, and I think he landed on a road there, right? And
It's state road, yes.
a state road through the tribe, and they confiscated his plane, and it's taken him 7 months to get it back. So,
and once again, the federal FAA had to threaten to sue the Red Lake Band to get the plane back. It was the threat from the federal, not the states, to get his plane back.
Right.
So once again, we have Moriarty and Ellison not doing their job, Walz not doing their job. We had to get the feds involved.
Yeah, they're the ones that do work around here. Walz and Ellison are too busy lining their pockets and making speeches.
Right.
Last news here for Minnesota. A graduate student ratted out some poor soul for the unforgivable sin of complaining about having to scrub the word mothers from grant proposal language and replace it with lactating individuals. Why are we doing this? What kind of crazy world do we live in? It's just
I
love the picture. That's crazy. It was so dehumanizing to women to be called that. I don't, they're moms. Call them mom. That's what it is. What do they call? I don't know what they call men then. Non-lactating individuals, but
non-uterus available. I don't know.
All right, we talked about. We're going on the national news now. We already talked about the Obama thing. I brought some crazy people up, but I think we're going to skip this one because I just don't want to give this guy any sight. It's basically the guy that his name is Paul Krugman, and he just made basically he did the saying. I'll go over it. We have to demagnification of the United States. By 2005, it became. Oh well, no, that's his other thing. We really need to do a purging of the United States. This guy says. You see why conservatives get a little worried about the Democrats, because they keep doing this rhetoric. They're dehumanizing us. And then that makes it easier for people to do things to us because they don't feel pity. They don't look at us as like human beings. Look, I grew up in this city. I just live here. I'm just a guy. I went to high school with a lot of you people. It's ridiculous that you go after us like we don't want good things. I like dogs. Kids are great. Protect them. You act like we're monsters because we don't want to spend money on people who are in the country illegally. It doesn't make any sense.
Right.
And by the way, this guy's said in 2005, it is clear that the internet's impact on the economy has been no greater than fax machines.
So he's not a bright guy to begin with. So
he's not a bright guy. Oh. And I have a thing by James Carville, but I'm just going to skip it because that guy's just a kook.
He's really gone downhill since he's got out of office or wherever he was. I don't remember. Was he in office or was he?
He was
reporter. Yeah, he's just gone downhill.
No, he was in office. Yeah.
I think he lives in Rosie O'Donnell's basement. It would be my guess.
He's looking at his precious ring. He looks like
Gollum. Exactly.
You got the governor stuff. Now, remember they kicked out Swalwell because
Yep.
because there's 2 Democrats and 2 Republicans, and the 2 Republicans were trending at the top. So they made sure that they unleashed the documentation because Swalwell wouldn't quit, and they warned him, and then they just took all the dirt they had on him and got him out of the race. And now we've got 2 people that are at the top. And basically you're putting on here that if you count the number of votes, this is a primary, so it's not really 100%, but they got more, Democrats have more votes than Republicans do in California.
Yeah.
And then for the mayor of Los Angeles, and I think they're still counting that race, by the way. Karen Bass is in the lead after her inept handling of everything in that city. And I believe, let's look at this up. She was like trained in communist insurgency when she was younger. That's what she was doing in her 20s. How did she ever get elected? Well, how did she ever get elected? I think I know how. Based on the number of mail-in votes I see that are coming in for her, I think I know exactly how she got elected.
That was one thing I seen was, and I can't, and it was unverified, and I don't know. I've never heard of this person, so I don't know how truthful it is. But they said they're still counting mail-in votes because as long as it's post-dated they can still count them. And they said 0 votes for Pratt, 100, absolutely 0, and everything for the Democrats.
Yep.
I don't know how true that is, but statistically, it's not possible unless it's fraudulent.
Right. I remember there was one mail-in vote, and I can't remember what state. It was back in, I think, 2020. But you could literally see who the person voted for in a window in the envelope.
Yeah.
So if whoever down the line didn't like that vote, goes in the shredder, never makes it, right?
Yeah, and then that's before we even talk about the ballot boxes being lit on fire and damaged prior to the election.
Right.
So although votes are gone, we don't know. So you don't know which side of the fence those people are on. So
right. Well, Trump is launching a probe into it, so we'll see. We're going to drop down. I want to do the last story on here. This is something that we kind of covered the other time, and I didn't give it enough time. So yeah, pop that thing up there. This is UCLA students. These are college students that are being interviewed here, presumably. Got it?
Yeah.
So they're given a script to read, and here's the result.
Do you want to play it?
Yeah, play it.
The
Pause it for a second.
Theory tried to.
Can you shrink the window width size? So just drag your window, the whole window, and make it smaller. Not that. On the side of the thing, just go left. On the very edge of the browser, just make it smaller. Because I want to be able to read what they're saying. It won't drag.
You can't read it?
No. So read what it says.
So what it says, the beneficiary tried to embellish the extortion scheme. That's what they're trying to read.
The beneficiary tried to embellish the extortion scheme. So they're going to ask them to read it, and then they're going to ask them to explain it. And presumably these are college kids doing this. So go ahead.
The beneficiary tried to ambush the extortion scheme.
What does that mean?
I don't even know. I can't say that. Try to ambush the extortion scheme.
What does that mean?
I don't.
Got it. Does that frighten you? Because it frightens me.
I mean, if they graduated, they should have no problems reading it.
There's a whole lot of places that went wrong. So they should not have been able to graduate high school with that level of reading comprehension.
Right.
That being said, there's absolutely no way they should have been able to enter college at that level.
Right.
How many are worse than that? How many are like that and how many are worse? It's incredible. So I was talking to my wife, and she worked at a college, and she had to train them how to address envelopes. They never done it. They didn't know how to do it. And then, and I was talking to somebody at the convention, and they said, what time is it? I said, it's 5:15. Oh, you know what? There's lots of people that don't know what that means. They don't understand what a quarterback, they think it's 25 after. And if you show them this, they can't read it. And so they started taking these analog clocks out of schools. You know why? Because the kids couldn't read it. They didn't understand it. And if there was just some place they could go they could be trained to read analog clocks, that would be fantastic. But nope.
If there was such a place, just like in England, if you just had something that would shoot a projectile from a great distance to protect yourself.
Yeah, right. All I could think of was throwing stars.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know of anything else. All right. We'll go on to the international news. How do you say this guy's name? Sink Uger? I know who he is by looking at him, but I don't know how to say his name.
Yeah, I think it's Uger.
Yeah, so this is a guy, the Young Turks guy. He's a very staunch liberal. And Hassan Piker, I don't know who he is, were banned from Britain over history of anti-Semitism, ruled as not conducive to the public good. So hard left Turkish American influencers Cenk Uygur and Hassan Piker have been banned from entering the United Kingdom. This is where, again, another UK story where, I don't agree with these guys. I mean, most of the time, I think they've had some good points. He's not a complete lunatic, but I don't agree with most of his stuff he says. But at the same time, let the guy in the country. I mean, my God, what are you doing, England? Yeah. How is this much different from if the Nazis had taken over?
Well, I in the situation that you and I are in right now, I would be afraid to go over there because I don't know what offends them anymore. So, this is our 67th show. There's got to be something that offends them on one of these shows. So
this story.
We'd go to jail.
Probably. I mean, God forbid you stop outside of an abortion clinic and start thinking about things. They'll arrest you for that too.
Right.
The next story I've got, I don't want to do the last one, but this one is Canada is considering a major overhaul of its fighter modernization plan. They are going to replace much of its planned 88 F-35 fleet with roughly 60 Saab Gripen fighters while retaining 30 F-35As. So this is shifting Canada from using the United States to using, what country is that from? Is that Sweden?
Yeah, Saab is Sweden.
So this is probably in response to wanting to distance themselves from the United States a little bit. All I can say is probably a good idea. I mean, on their part, to not be 100% reliant on us, and also a good idea to start beefing up your military and see how it is when you have to actually do military spending and have your luxury social systems as well. See which one gives. We've been paying, because of the protection of the United States, we've been paying for Canada to become a socialized country and also complain about us at the same time. They're not much different from Minnesota has been with the politics of Walz and Ellison and Moriarty and Ilhan Omar. It's the same thing. So we pay for it, and then they tell us how bad we are. So good. Start buying them from other countries. Beef up your forces. You're going to need, to spend some
protection.
Money.
Yeah, protection from the United States.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if we need you, then you can come to our aid, right?
Yeah. I mean, I would definitely buy from Sweden when we just showed at Iran that how spectacular our military is. So definitely don't buy our planes because we don't
Right.
know what we're doing. Yeah,
Certainly
we're just totally useless. Yeah, go buy
Yeah,
Sweden.
kind of rookies at this.
Yeah,
And the other thing is, and I'll just be completely confidential, or not confidential, I'll be candid about this. With the advent of drones, these planes aren't going to. This is a battleship in a aircraft carrier war now. Unfortunately, you can send up cheap drones to go after an airplane. I don't care how fast it's going. Sooner or later, it's going to connect. So it's a scary new world when it comes to security. And Donald Trump just said it today, I think. He said rifles cannot protect us anymore at the Capitol. It's got to be drone defenses. They're
Yeah.
that prevalent. And, you think about how it doesn't take much of a drone, not much explosives to do a lot of damage to a person. So it's kind of scary. That's where we're running. All right. We're getting down here.
We won't get into the cockroach carrying bombs story then. So
I saw that on Fifth Element.
yeah,
Health and fitness. This is a segment we do because we think that people should always continue to strive to improve themselves, do physical fitness, do mental fitness. That is a different flavor for everybody. Not everybody's the same. Some people are marathon runners. Some people, get up and down from their chair 10 times, and it's something. It depends on the way you are right now in your life. So that's this section. Then we'll have some health stories. So you have one that says a new drug nearly doubles the survival rates of some pancreatic cancer patients. That's pretty amazing.
yeah, and it goes right along. I read farther into it because I know a guy that has pancreatic cancer and is going through chemo now, but I was reading farther into it, and it also has to do with that story we did a long time ago about the type 1 diabetes. How someone from Sweden found a cure for that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not exactly perfectly along the same lines, but it's close. So we're taking, they're basically taking that same technology and thinking of stopping these diseases and curing these diseases a different way, which is outstanding. Like for this one, it doesn't cure cancer, but it stops it from spreading, which is huge because if you have just a little bit, then they can do something about that. So
right. Pancreatic cancer is a tough deal, man. That is one of the bad ones.
Yeah, correct. So this type 1 diabetes we talked about earlier, the cure for that is already spreading into other places. And, I could see in 5 years, curing all of cancers, curing all of the diabetes, curing all of these, getting a huge step forward. And so I think I think this is all along the right step in the right direction. So.
Yeah, well, I hope so. It would be really good to, instead of treating stuff, to be able to cure it, especially type 1 diabetes, where under no fault of your own, this horrible thing happened to you, and you have to have this much better than it was, because 100 years ago, you would have just died from it. But it's still something that's horrible for people to have to maintain their whole lives, and there's a lot of bad effects. And in fact, one of our classmates just passed away in the last 2 weeks, and I think that had to do with complications of diabetes. So
correct. Yeah.
That's it. I'm going to go to the word of the day. You ready for the word of the day? This is one of my favorites I've seen in a long time, and I will put it up. Actually, I have a image of it.
Can't find it on my list. Oh, there it is. There we go.
It's anarcho-tyranny. Narco-tyranny is a political concept describing a condition where the state simultaneously fails to enforce laws against serious criminal behavior, that's the anarchy part, while aggressively regulating and punishing law-abiding citizens, that's the tyranny part. Coined in 1992 by American paleoconservative writer Samuel Francis, the term characterizes a system where government power is paralyzed regarding public safety, but oppressive towards the innocent. I think if you really want to talk about it, that's the UK right now. Definitely the UK, especially with their top story that we talked about.
Yeah.
But that's Mary Moriarty's de facto stance too. And it seems like it's in St. Paul as well. We let
Right.
these crimes go. We will not prosecute carjackers. We'll have same day release. We'll have no cash bail so that people will, if they get carjacked, they're not going to report it, because if the guy goes to jail and gets out same day, he's going to come back and, stomp you. So,
Yep.
just you stop reporting. But if somebody does something even slightly that you don't like, then you'll put them in jail. So I thought that was a good word.
Yeah. I mean, Minnesota's definitely turning into that.
Not if we can help it.
it's-
This election will fix that if we get the right people in.
yeah, I mean, even the church. Oh, just because we have video proof of them interrupting a service and causing havoc, that doesn't rise to the level of convicting them. Yeah, it does. And you not prosecuting it shows exactly what that word is. So
Yeah. We shouldn't have to rely on the federal government to do the hard work.
yeah.
All right. That's it. Hour and 21. I think we're good. You have anything else to bring
Yep.
up, Dave?
Nope, we get it all in. So
All right. Well,
doing
I
good.
think that is all I've got for tonight. It was a great show. It was nice not being rushed all the time, so we can actually delve into some stuff. Please like and subscribe. Thanks for joining us. Throw you a shaka. Be good. Grandma's Marathon's coming up in a couple weeks. That'll be fun. And I guess we'll talk to you next week. So until then, I'm Sean.
I'm Dave.
And this has been the Duluth Conservative. We'll see you next week.